It was a chilly night, it was a rainy night, and maybe if it was a little more like August, Nick Gonzalez would have hit a walk-off home run and the Pirates would have snapped this losing skid. Instead, it's a season-long four in a row, and the Pirates are at risk of being swept at home by the Cardinals in a four-game series. That put a real damper into what was a really promising month of April. Good morning and welcome to Offbeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf. This is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates lost on Wednesday, 5-4. Close but no cigar. And like we said beforehand, every team's going to go through a four-game losing streak at some point this season. They got Paul Skenes on the mound on Thursday. Maybe that can change, their fortunes, have them finish April with a winning record instead of a 500 record. But I really want to harp in on two at-bats in particular. And one was in the seventh inning with the bases loaded and two outs and Marcelo Ozuna up. Potential tying run on second base, go-ahead run on first base, and he did not have a good at-bat. It did get to 3-2, but there were some misses there. There were some ugly swings, and it ends up being just a soft tapper to third base, inning over. Ninth inning, Ozuna gets another chance with one out in the game-time run at first base. He represents the game-winning run. 3 pitch strikeouts, some really ugly whiffs in there, and just a rough night for him. 1 for 5 with a single. A rough night in what has been a rough month of April. I've talked a lot about Marcelo Ozuna so far, about how having a DH only doesn't give Don Kelly a lot of flexibility with the outfield. But I feel like we're at the point where if you don't want to say the sample size is too small, if you still believe that, if you still believe, he got off to an even worse start in 2023, which he did, okay. There's one game left in April. And unless he has a really good game, this is going to go down as one of the worst Aprils any Pirate hitter has ever had. He enters Thursday with a 466 OPS on the season. The worst OPS ever for a Pirate in the month of April, where they had at least 90 at-bats, so a decent sample size, was Tommy Pham last year at 460. And Tommy Pham had the contact issue last year, like not, putting bat to ball, like his actual eyes, his contacts. And it was something that, he attributed much of his early season struggles to. And regardless of how you feel about that, that's what he said. And he was also providing really good defense out in left field. Ozuna's OPS is 6 points higher than Tommy Pham, who was having difficulty seeing the ball, quite literally having difficulty seeing the ball. They have virtually the same OPS, and Ozuna doesn't have really good defense buoying his WAR. Entering Thursday, according to Fangraphs, Marcell Ozuna is tied for the worst WAR in baseball with negative 0.8. The trend, he is chasing, and this is the highest swing and miss rate he's had in his career chasing. North of 52%, according to Baseball Savant. We talked about how early on he was having a hard time getting his ace swing off. And we're seeing it occasionally. He had that nice little run there the previous homestand, but I didn't really see the ace swing on Wednesday. I saw some ugly whiffs. I saw a slower bat. I saw bad swings in big spots. And it's still April. And it's still early. And we look at that 2023, where his OPS was even lower. His OPS was in the 300s at the end of April in 2023. And he put together a pretty good, you know, year all told. His final results in 2023 were good. His final results in 2024 were really good. You know why I know they were really good? I had Marcell Ozuna on my 2024 National League MVP ballot. There were 30 ballots out there that year. I had one of them. Marcell Ozuna was one of the 10 names I selected. So you can look at what he did in 2023 and be like, okay, he figured it out. He could get better. My counter is the bat was a lot faster in 2023. The bat speed has trended up from 2025, but it's still over a mile per hour less than it was in 2023. It's still above average right now. It's not like it's a complete detriment that he's just flailing out there, but if you want to compare this start to 2023, that's fine. I want to look at some of the peripherals. That's one of them. Whenever he's chasing, he's missing more. Whenever he's he's swinging the bat, it's not as fast. These are things I'm taking into consideration whenever I say this has been a rotten April. There's 5 months still to go, and I'll promise you I'm going to say that point again also, but this is the team's number 5 hitter. Not only is he the team's number 5 hitter, Ryan O'Hearn's been batting in front of him, most of this year. Ryan O'Hearn has a batting average over 300. He's had some slug. He's gone deep, I believe, 4 times so far. He has had slugs, so it's not like he's all singles right here, but it's a lot of singles in that mix too. His OPS is it's a hit. And that's knocking the hit. It's like, that's a good at bat. If your number 4 hitter is getting base hits, ideally there's a man on base that he's either driving in or at least keeping the inning going. You need that number 5 hitter to follow up and have a good at bat. And we haven't seen that enough from Ozuna. I asked Don Kelly on Wednesday after the game if there's anything he's really seeing that's giving him optimism in the at-bats that Ozuna's taken. His answer, quote, I think just going back to the work he's putting in, the history of being the elite hitter that he's been. We've talked about it a lot. There's nobody more frustrated than the guys in these moments when they didn't come through and they feel like they let the team down. It's tough. We're professionals, and we've got to find a way to bounce back tomorrow and find a way to get it done. I have no issue with that mentality. I would say it doesn't really answer my question of what he's seen in Ozuna's at-bats to give him confidence, because this is your number 5 hitter. It'd be one thing if, Ozuna was batting 8th right now and he wasn't coming through in those spots. But this is prime real estate in the heart of the order. Not only the heart of the order, an order that has been extremely top-heavy. Like Nick Gonzalez has had himself a nice run right here, and he had himself a nice month of April offensively. Batting .330, I know it's basically all singles, no homers, very few extra base hits, not a lot of walks, but he's getting bat to ball. I have a hard time knocking anyone who's batting in the 330s. Outside of him, though, there hasn't been a lot of production in the later half. Spencer Horwitz is coming together after a slow start. You occasionally will see Connor Griffin run into a few, but this is a top-heavy offense. And whenever you have Ozuna batting 5th, that's part of what keeps it a top-heavy offense in not getting that production 1 through 9, because that is a big spot in the order. I know the analytics say that, you put your best hitter number 2 because he's going to get 18 more at-bats over the course of the year than if he was batting number 3rd. I wholeheartedly agree with that. But my old school baseball thing is you need dudes at 4 and 5. Those are going to be RBI opportunities. Have the high OBP guy bat first. That's what I believe. Have your best hitter hit second. That's what I believe. Your third hitter always will forever be a dude. I put a lot of stock in 4-5 and how good an offense is. Are you driving in those runs or are you leaving men on base? Last year, it was the latter. Ozuna's had opportunities. He hasn't come through in them. It's way too early to say, like, oh, just give the job to Esmeralda Valdez, write it off, and like Ben Cherington earlier this month talked about how, you might be cutting off your nose to spite your face if you do that. You have to give these players, afford them some time. And Ozuna is still in that spot. I'm not going to argue that, but I will counter by saying this was a whole month. This was a whole month plus a little change in March. And it was one of the worst offensive performances we have ever seen from a Pirate hitter in the modern era. There were times I got that data from StatHead. StatHead went back to 1898. They were playing with a damn marshmallow half the time in 1898. And those guys had a higher OPS in April than Ozuna did. It's a long season. There's ways to go. He could figure some things out offensively. Like we saw that little spurt, the previous homestand, where it's like, okay, there's still something in there. He's going to have to find a way to replicate that. And I know it's tough because this guy has a long track record of success. Like I said, he was on my MVP ballot just 2 years ago. Don Kelly has seen him as an opponent within the division. He has seen him as a teammate whenever they were with the Marlins. He has had slow starts before. That's all fine. That's good. It's early. There's time. But as the Pirates have gone during this 4-game losing streak from being in a position where this was a really encouraging April, and they are right in the thick of the NL Central, and they are showing the whole league what this all can be. They have not done that. It's been a really rotten end to the month, one where they could finish up 16-16, 500, and in last place in the division. You have to look around and say, where have the problems been? And whenever you have the guy who is last in baseball in F-WAR, you have to consider that as a big part of this equation. Thank you so much for listening to Offbeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you find a podcast. Or if you want to see me in section 322, check us out on YouTube. It's a little chilly tonight, but you know what? We got a bit. We're going to keep the bit going. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.